Good morning and welcome to the Matric Student Study Hacks webinar. My name is Danica Saunders and I'll be your host this morning. Joining us today, we have wonderful speakers, one of them being Jean-Pierre Moller, who is a registered SACE teacher and HPCSA educational psychologist. He is currently a full-time educator at the South African College of Applied Psychology at our Joburg Sandton campus, teaching on the applied psychology and education faculties, He presented numerous workshops and trainings on platforms like the Daily Sun, JVR Psychometrics Company, and for the Gauteng Department of Education. Jean-Pierre is a firm believer in if students can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn. And then we are joined by Adam Willemse. With 17 years of experience teaching high school learners, Adam now serves as an educator at SACAP. He holds degrees in psychology and educational psychology and is actively involved in the mentorship programs with teenage boys. Drawing from both classroom and mentorship experience, Adam understands the challenges that matric learners and what their parents face. And now, without any further ado, I'll hand over to Jean-Pierre. Thank you.
Good morning, Matrix of 2025. Welcome, and I hope that you enjoy this session with us. I am Jean-Pierre Muller. As Anika said, thank you so much, Anika, for this opportunity to host today for SACAP. And here we go. So, Matrix, we acknowledge and understand that going into this exam, it is a stressful time. And if you feel stressed, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel pressure, please note that it is normal. Okay, do not go now on TikTok and say, I am stressing, what disorder do I have? And diagnose yourself, and yes, please don't do that. Okay, but please try and avoid burnout. Okay, we don't want you to take everything at the same time and just run with it because we don't want you to burn out and not perform your best, right? So think of an athlete. If this was athletics, then this was the Olympics. Okay, this is the matric. And how many people do not have an N4 or an NQF4, a matric certificate? Therefore, we understand that this exam is stressful. It is a huge achievement, but nothing that is worth it in life comes easily. Otherwise, everybody would have had it right. So, one bad page, one bad exam, or one difficult question does not mean there's a bad chapter, a bad book, or even a bad life. Okay, so please let's take this whole elephant and let's eat it one bite at a time. We're climbing this huge mountain one step at a time. And if this mountain feels too overwhelming, break it down. If section A looks too overwhelming, take it one question at a time. If section B is longer questions, break it down one question at a time, but take it in bite-sized pieces that are that's easier for to devour for you in the way that you need it. Because whose exam is it? Yours, not your parents and no one else's. It's yours. So here we go. Students can learn to prioritize their revision tasks. Start early when you are fresh. Okay, so sleep enough. Break down your study material into manageable chunks. Set realistic goals. Do not put our goals too high so that when you don't reach them, you don't feel that disappointment. But maybe somewhere in your room, somewhere on a fridge, write down the marks you want to achieve for these exams and see it every day when you walk past it like, I will get this percentage for this exam. Reframe negative thoughts. For example, go watch a funny video. Go sing. Maybe if you don't sing well, go sing in the shower rather. And maybe dance, but don't dance in the shower because then you can slip and we don't want that. Practice gratitude. What are you grateful for? We have water to drink. We have food. We have warm beds. So there are so many things that we can be so grateful for and focus on them. So on the glimmers rather on the triggers, rather on the sad and depressing and horrible things of this life. Prioritize your sleep. Please eat healthy food. Get physical, active, and do stretches. Yes, we need to get that oxygen flowing over our brains. Okay, so that they can work the most effectively. Connect with your peers. Yes, I said at the beginning, it's Matrix 2025. You're not alone. So have mindful study breaks. meditation, and visualize your future. But also during this time with your peers, also don't compare yourself to them, only compete to yourself. And also, if they are procrastinating, don't join them. Oh, I'm just watching one more series or one more. No, no, no. Let's get down and do our work, right? This is crunch time. After this, you have a long matric vacay, and then you're gonna have fun, right? So for now, let's put in the work, get this done, one bite at a time, and then you are free. Then you can spread your wings and fly. Okay, if things get overwhelming, do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 techniques. So, walk out of the place where you feel that stress. So if your room is the place where you study, get out of that room, right? And then you go, what 5 colors can I see? What 4 things can I feel? What textures can I feel? What 3 things can I hear? What 2 things can I smell today? Or what's that one thing that I tasted this morning? Okay, and when you do those 5 techniques, it's just called grounding. Go splash your hands with your face with some cold water, drink some water, just to get the air flowing and the oxygen in your body just to calm you down a bit. And then stop, drop, roll. Stop, calm down in whatever way you need to calm down. Visualize your happy place, sing a song, go speak to someone. Then drop. Think of 3 possible solutions for the challenge that you have and roll to the most effective one. Let's say, for example, you have a mathematics question, said, ooh, I don't know how to do this one. Ooh, I feel overwhelmed. Okay, let's calm down first. Do a breathing exercise, listen to some calm music or white noise. Calm down, and then what can I do now? Okay, I can go watch YouTube videos on it. I can go ask a friend how to do it. I can go to memorandums or to the internet. Um, what can I do to solve this? Which one is the most important? Let's roll. Let's put that one into practice. But remember, this is not your first rodeo. Identify for yourself what knowledge you have gained over your schooling career and what skills you have gained to be able to adapt knowledge for useful application in life. Because one day when you apply for a job, they're going to look at your skills, what you have to offer, not only what papers you have. I know people who only has a matric, who earns a lot more money than people who has a degree. Take a break from technology and other distractions. Yes, cell phones, social media. If you need that break, do it for you. And if you can't manage it on your own, ask your parents to keep your phone for that time. But also, do the actual work, stick to regular um, timetables, plan your things. What do you need to study for you? And I'm going to give you a lot of more tips that we can do. On the next slide, we're going to talk about look at self-love. Massage your hands with nice cream. Manicure your nails if you need that. Um, do have a special meal. Do something that is important for you. Brush your hair. But take care of yourself during this time, right? Because it's body, mind, and soul that all works together. Thought challenge. Write down those negative thoughts. Get them out. Um, list down reasons why you have these thoughts. Are they true? Are they not? And then discuss it with someone if need be. Access your higher self. Help someone else. Smile at a stranger. Uh, pray if you're religious. Volunteer somewhere, for example, at an animal shelter, just for that time to calm down and to connect with nature. And when you rub an animal, it also makes you feel more happy. Take away distractions, like we said, like TVs and an ad, but also sometimes listen to radio or play a computer game, but screen time is not the best for you in this time. So try and limit that screen time. However, do a puzzle, play card games, do gardening, do something that you like. Ground yourself, like for example the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, or use clay or mud or colors to calm you down. And then emotional releases, yell, scream, even if it's in a pillow. Take a cold shower. Let yourself cry. It is okay. It is stressful, and we are human. We're allowed to have feelings. But remember the 10-10-10 rule. When stressing over something, will it matter in 10 days? Will it matter in 10 months? Will it matter in 10 years? And after getting some perspective, you'll notice how very few things ends up worth stressing over. And most of those what if things actually never happens. Stats say actually 89% of it does not even happen in real life. So now talking all of that stuff that we know we stress, what steps can we take? So Be subject specific. For some subjects, you need to practice, for example, math, physics, but for others, you can go and sit and study, make summaries, for example. Have a realistic timeline, and I'm going to show you some timetable options. Break it up, divide the workload, work in practice your tests and exams, and Adam will talk a bit more about this. Have a daily schedule, but in that schedule, have a routine where you eat, drink, sleep, and study. And then also make extra time for more challenging subjects. Ask for help. Study groups, tutorials, teacher, parents, and even YouTube these days are awesome. Other support for mental health can be focused at one thing at a time. Work your plan, trust the process, breathe, be present in the moment, limit your distractions, limit decisions. Physical health, prioritize your sleep. As you can hear, sleep's very important. Get some sunlight, rest your eyes a bit, even if it's just for 20 seconds. Exercise is great for endorphins, so parents, please don't take away the sport, right? And then emotional health, be kind to yourself. Will you believe what you believe you live? Identify how you feel. Talk to your parents, get some perspective, and shift your self-talk to something more positive, right? But also other ways to get some serotonin over that brain. You can get some serotonin through getting sunlight, walk in nature, meditate. You can get some oxytocin. That's also very good for the brain through hugging and kissing. I'm not saying it's not a relationship, but holding hands with somebody, even if it's a friend, show affection, and playing with a pet. Dopamine you can get through, for example, finishing a task, eating food, and make it small. I'm finishing this chapter now. I am working through this problem now. Make it small task, and if you have ADHD, for example, have more regular breaks, right? But don't let the breaks be longer than your study time. Then look at the small wins, and it endorphins your brain, laughing together, have a workout, act of kindness for someone, and listening to music. Now, how does music actually affect our brain? It actually creates a rhythm. So you can actually see if the mommy played music, for example, classical music that has a set rhythm for babies, even in the tummy, even in the womb, that the baby is actually more calm and more organized one day. Pitch and tone is so important because even if you put a baby on top of a washing machine, not in a washing machine, on top of that calming, the soothing sound of the washing machine is a daddy's voice inside of the womb, and that also makes them calm down. But there's a lot of things that you can see how music can actually make you feel better. And I can't tell you, oh, go listen to classical music, and you're like, oh, I hate that. Listen to what makes you happy. If it's a pop song, if it's a rock song, if you have to shout with some of your other rock band, you do that. If it's K-pop, do your thing. Okay, but now how do we manage our stress? So I'm going to give you guys the 4 A's. You can avoid it, alter it, accept, or adapt. So avoid, say no to unnecessary stresses. If somebody says, please help me, and you don't have time, say, sorry, I can't help you now, but maybe later. Then alter, change your approach by communicating needs clearly. Accept what you cannot change and forgive yourself for it. If that test is passed, it's passed. You cannot go revisit it. You submit it, it's done. It's handed in and it's not in your hands anymore, literally and figuratively. And then adapt, adjust expectations and focus on what you can control. You can't control a lot of things, and that is okay. That is life. But what are you going to do about the feelings in that time? Because you have the power to control your thoughts, feelings, and behavior. The pitfalls of perfectionism can be that you reassess at the end of every week. You can also um, make more challenging subjects and add extra time for those challenges. Less challenging subjects, give that time to another subject. For example, creative writing. Maybe in that time you can also study some math or some physics. Then procrastination. Why do you do it? If you procrastinate, ask for help, even if it's for somebody to just monitor your time management. Get external accountability if you can't take it yourself. Mark your practice tests. Where do you need to work on and what did you achieve? Strengthen your strengths so don't trip over your weaknesses and change it up. Read, listen, make pictures, discuss, draw, mind maps, and so on. One of the links that we will share with you is called Notebook LM, and it actually makes a podcast through two AI people that will read your whole paragraph for you and make it an interesting talk. And you can actually then hear the content that you insert into it. For example, a chapter of a book that you put into, or a reading or a study that you put into it. It makes a podcast and you can just listen to it for free. Mahala. Okay, tips to reduce anxiety. Yes, more. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Prepare enough. Ask for and accept support. It's okay if you can't do this on your own. You're not alone. We're all there for you. All the other matrics, your peers, your teachers, your family, your friends. You're not alone. Healthy habits, focus on yourself. Also encourage self-talk. You can do some belly breathing where you feel how you get in the clean air. It goes through your body, through your toes, and clean out all of the stress, and you blow all of it out. Yeah, Joburg, we're close to our timers. I don't know how clean the air is, but hey. Then muscle relaxation. Tense your muscles and relax. Tense your arms and your shoulders and relax. But also to that, give yourself some self-hugs, some butterfly hugs, and tap yourself when need be. Envision your success. Envision where you want to be one day, your goals and what you want to become. So, quickly some examples of study plans. This is just some examples, but you must make it your own and in your own way, right? So the one has a weekly schedule where there's a lot of times and a lot of open slots. And I always put in some what if time. So what if there's traffic? What if something happens, like we don't have water and I have to postpone my bath time to later or earlier, or we don't have electricity a certain time or whatever. So have some what if times as well. You can also color code it like here, where it makes more sense of what is important, what's less important, and what can I do if need be. On the next slide, I put in color coded, but also there is color coded things for resting times, but also all of the different subjects that are in there. Or you can even go as small bites as an hourly study plan. So my last slide, I want to finish off with this. Did you know that stress can actually cause you to have an early dad bod, to get an early tummy? Okay, we don't want you to have a fat belly, so please focus on yourself and don't now overstress. We all stress, and that is normal. It's not a diagnosis. But how do we deal with it? So that if mom asks, can you make me some tea? You're not like, no, mom, I can't. But it's like, okay, mom, I'm just busy at this moment. Just give me 5 minutes and then I will come and help you. Okay, so please manage your emotions in this time because you have to survive through all of it. It takes 21 days to develop a habit. So remember, you already have habits on how to study, on what information you have in your head. For the past 11 and a half years, you put this in your head. It's not only now that you have to get everything into your head. An old folklore goes that you have two dogs in your head, the lazy negative one and the positive one. The one you feed will grow. So feed the positive one. No one said life is going to be easy. However, you can make it worth it for yourself. Remember, you are not alone. The 5 things that can ruin a CV is spelling and grammar, too long or too short CVs, no keywords, generic duties. Please don't use ChatGPT if you make a CV one day, and unprofessional design and formatting. So after all of that things, please try not to make a bad CV one day. And how's that going to work? If you now do your best and show them what you got. So go class 2025. Focus on yourself, take care of yourself so that you survive through this. Because when the matric is long gone and you are very old, you're going to forget that you even wrote this matric exam. However, you're going to have a lot of skills that you've learned through this challenging time. Thank you so much. Adam, over to you.
Good morning, Matrix. Um, so I'm going to look at the more practical side of the studying and how to approach the exams. So first of all, I'm going to look at some unconventional study tricks. These are designed to make learning more fun and effective. This is not your usual tips. They're creative, memorable, and they're proven to work. So the first one, some of these you guys may already know, so it's maybe just a good reminder. The first one is to teach your work to a teddy or to a pet. Teaching a concept to a teddy or a pet may sound silly or may feel weird, but it forces you to simplify and clarify your understanding. The thing is, if you can teach it clearly, you can understand it clearly. The second study trick or method that I want to look at is called the memory palace technique. The memory palace is like building a mental museum. You can find several examples by just Googling memory palace, and on YouTube they can explain it to you. So how this basically works is you place facts in familiar rooms and then in your mind, and then walk through them during the revision. I've used this to memorize large amounts of info. So you can use the rule of 153. So think of one room, pick 5 objects, and then you link 3 facts per object in your mind. So that's just one room, and then you can have several rooms, however it works. The next unconventional study trick that I want to tell you about is to color code and emotional map the workload. So color-coded emotional mapping helps you to visually track your confidence. So you will put a red sticker or post-it or whatever on the work, which means I need help here. And on the green, you would put something like, I've got this. This is a quick reference guide to what you know and what you need to spend most time on. So there's the one. The next slide shows us the color-coded emotional mapping. There we go. And then the fourth one here is reverse note-taking. Reverse note-taking is a very powerful recall tool. The idea is to write what you know before checking your notes. So don't set yourself up for failure. Work from big to small. So you start with main sections. For instance, let's think about bio, the circulatory system. Then you can create subheadings, the direction of blood flow, oxygenation of blood, the pulmonary system, whatever. And then under each subsection, you make as many notes as possible, which you can remember. And this will prevent you from getting stuck in the details the way I always did. On the next slide, we have gamifying your study. So there's a whole bunch of apps online. I know JP also told me about a bunch of nice apps, and we're going to give you the links later on to use for your studying. Now, unfortunately, it can take time to set this up, but it will be worthwhile. So don't spend all your time setting up your study notes or your flashcards, and then you don't have time to study. There's apps like Anki that you can find on Quizlet. Quizlet itself has numerous ideas on how to study and the flashcards and so on. And you can use these for like quiz battles with friends if you wish. The next unconventional trick is to study in different locations. Just by changing up the place where you sit and study, refreshes your brain, and it helps you to remember better. So not ideally in front of the TV, but you know what I mean. So on the next slide, we have the Pomodoro remix. JP mentioned the Pomodoro method very quickly. So what the Pomodoro method says is you study 25 minutes where you switched on and plugged in, and then you rest for 5 minutes. So now the remix adds movement to your breaks. Dancing, stretching, taking a walk. JP mentioned getting that oxygen into your brain is extremely important. Because movement and oxygen boosts brain function. Then the next unconventional trick is to record yourself. This is almost as awkward as teaching your pet, but hearing your own voice helps reinforce memory. It's like adding an extra dimension to reciting your work out loud. On the next slide, we look at mind maps. Everyone knows mind maps. I think you guys must be so bored of mind maps because everyone always suggests use a mind map. But give it a twist by adding a metaphor to make some of the more abstract ideas stick. For instance, think of the digestive system as a factory. It's just easier to remember. And then just a side note, mind maps works best when they are very colorful. And then the last one that I want to mention is called the sleep sandwich. So the sleep sandwich technique uses sleep to lock in the learning. The idea is that you study before bed and you review in the morning. Public service announcement, your brain needs a minimum of 6 hours to process and consolidate the information you have studied. And this has been proven by research, and this is also why all-nighters are never a good idea. Now that we have the study methods covered, I want us to move to the next section, and that is using past papers and looking at the past papers, finding trends and how to effectively use past papers. So past papers is a gold mine for exam prep. Understanding the trends helps you to study smarter and not harder. You can find past papers on the Department of Basic Education's website. I know each province, their education department has their own website with their papers. That's if you follow the CAPS curriculum. I'm not so sure about IAB in Cambridge if they do have past papers for you. So let's look in detail at these 6 ways of using past papers. So on the first slide, you use past papers to spot. Now, ideally, spotting isn't a good idea. But using the past papers can give you a very good idea what is usually asked, which topics appear often, what formats are used, and you can create a heat map to track frequency and to focus your revision when you're studying. Most schools use the same layout for their exam papers as the final exams. I know when I used to teach, that's what my school did. And the questions and the formats should therefore be the same than you are already used to at your school. The next slide, when looking at these papers, you can sort of figure out what the examiner's priorities are, what they think is important. So examiners repeat key themes and skills often in papers. Look for common errors and learn from them. That is what you've done in the past. It gives you insight what's expected. So, and then maybe on a negative side, unfortunately, memos aren't always readily available. So you can't mark yourself, unfortunately, always. You can maybe ask your teachers at school for for memos of their papers, of their past papers. On the next slide, now that you've identified these trends, you can organize your study around the trends. So rather prioritize high frequency topics and practice in exam format. Pretend that you're writing the exam and time yourself, do it like a formal exam. To simulate these real conditions will help you build confidence. On the next slide, you can use past papers as a diagnostic tool. So what does that mean? It means you do the paper, you mark it, and then you can identify where your weak areas lies. Keep a mistake journal on each subject or each topic and track and fix recurring issues for yourself. On the next slide, you can mix past papers with active recall. Active recall is key, guys, to answer the questions before checking the memo. You can use flashcards and mind maps to reinforce these learning. When I speak about this, I mean you already have your topics identified, so now you can use the active recall to focus on those topics that you've identified. Then the last slide in this sequence is by looking at these papers. The more papers that you do or work out, the more familiar the exam becomes to you. You'll start to recognize question types and know how to tackle them. And confidence grows with practice. The brain learns through repetition, guys. Think about practicing piano or penalty kicks or making a souffle or whatever. The same rule applies to remembering information. Repeat, repeat, repeat. So now we've done our studying and we enter the exam room. This is when, pedal to the metal and nose to the grindstone and all those old wives' sayings. When you enter the exam room, time management is crucial. You probably already know this, but just a reminder. I have a few tips to help you to stay calm, focused, and work efficient during your exams. So the first bullet I have there is to scan the paper first. When you enter your final exams, you will have reading time with each paper. Use that reading time productively. Quickly read through all the questions, identify which sections are compulsory and which are choices. Mark questions you feel confident about. You are allowed to answer the questions in a different order than they are printed in your question paper. Just make sure you label them clearly and the heading so that the person marking your paper knows exactly what's going on. So yeah, to reiterate, use your reading time wisely to spot easy questions and plan your approach. Then the next bullet says allocate time per section. Some papers, I remember the Afrikaans papers, they tell you how much time you should use per section. Not should, they suggest. Look at the time, look at the marks, the mark allocation per question or per section. That will give you a good idea how much time you should allocate to that section. Don't let one question steal all your time. Okay. For example, in a 2-hour paper with 100 marks, you should spend about 1.5 minutes per mark. Also leave some buffer time at the end for revision. I already said, look for the questions that you feel confident about. So that's what the third bullet is all about. Start with your strengths. Begin with questions you know well. to build your confidence and momentum in the paper. Avoid spending too long on one tough question early on, as I said. It helps to keep you moving. The fourth bullet there is, states use the traffic light system. So in your mind, mark certain questions as green, easy questions, you can immediately answer them. Then the amber questions is medium questions, flag and return after the easy ones, and then the red questions would be your difficult questions. You can leave these for last and then manage your time accordingly. Obviously, you'll spend less time on the easy questions and so forth, so that you have more time for your red difficult questions. The next bullet says, watch the clock, but don't panic. Guys, keep an eye on the clock, don't panic. Set mini deadlines for you to stay on track. You can wear a watch, or you can use the wall clock. Most exam centers have wall clocks. You won't be allowed your smartwatch in the room, so rather leave the smartwatch at home. Remind yourself of the time allocation that you did in the second bullet, and then, as I said, set mini deadlines. For instance, I'll finish section A by 10:30. Then the next bullet says leave space and move on. If you're stuck on a question, move on, come back later. Do not waste time. This will prevent time drain, and it will also help you to keep your mind fresh. The next bullet says review strategically. So now you've finished answering the paper. Now you start checking unanswered questions first. So then you use your remainder of your time to review your spelling, your grammar, the clarity of what you've been saying. Don't rewrite entire answers unless absolutely necessary. Also, don't second guess yourself. Trust your knowledge. The next bullet says write smart, not long. Stick to the point, quality over quantity, and use bullet points or headings if allowed to save time. Short, clear answers often score better than long ones. I have marked some Matric papers in the past, and one thing I always taught my learners in class is, even though I tell you now to write smart, not long, also pretend that the person marking your paper knows nothing. Do not assume that they know what you mean. The next bullet, stay calm and breathe, guys. Relax your body, reset your mind. JP spoke about deep tummy breathing to reset if you are overwhelmed. It's a neurological way of forcing your body to calm down. I'm sure some of you know about the vagus nerve and how it calms your brain down. So deep breathing into your diaphragm, that helps. It triggers the vagus nerve and helps to calm down your nervous system. Scan your body for clenched muscles and relax them. A calm mind thinks faster and clearer. Then lastly, guys, you've got this. Remind yourself that you've prepared for this moment. Trust yourself and give it your best. You've been preparing for this for the last 12 years, as JP also said. You've put in the time, so you will get the results. Just trust yourself. And then, just to reiterate some of the points that JP and myself made, Management and study skill tools is some apps you can use. Forest is an app that can help you focus and grow a virtual tree while you're focusing. Trello organized tasks visual and on boards if you're a visual learner. I Study Life, it's a planner app, especially for students. And then we spoke about the Pomodoro timer a few times. You can download an app if you don't want to be disturbed by your watch or having to check the time every now and again. Then on the next slide, again, just reiterating the Pomodoro technique, the 25 minutes and the 5-minute break, or then the 20 minutes hard focus and 10-minute movement, dancing, jogging, yoga, whatever you enjoy doing. Time blocking to block off time for specific tasks. And then you can also Google the Eisenhower matrix. This will help you to prioritize tasks based on urgency and importance. And then 2 of the websites that we mentioned, I already spoke about Quizlet, and JP also spoke about Quizlet to help you make flashcards. And there's some study games like Anki on there. And then Notion is all-in-one productive workspace. It is also a visual type thing with boards where you can put your information. And just a final message to the parents who are on the call. I just want to give you the message that your love, patience, and belief in your child can be the most powerful support during this pivotal year. And when we enter crunch time, I know some of the schools already started their prelims or their record exams. Parents, please be the anchor when the pressure gets overwhelming. Also, another suggestion for your parents, celebrate the progress, not the perfection. And then stay connected emotionally to your child and help them in practical ways.
Please do follow us on our various social media platforms to stay up to date on events and program launches, and also to see the recording to this webinar. Once again, I'd like to thank our wonderful speakers for joining us this morning and for our attendees for making some time for us on this Saturday morning. And we do hope you have a lovely weekend further. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.